Now we will discuss working and long-term memory. Working memory. Working memory deals temporarily holding of information that is being processed. It can be used interchangeably with short-term memory. But as it is, working memory is not that simplistic term. Reason is that technically it refers more to the whole theoretical framework of structures and processes which are used when that information is temporarily stored. Then we have long-term memory. Now, it is defined as memory structure that holds permanent knowledge, or where the information is stored, you can say where the information is held on permanent grounds. Long-term memory is further divided into episodic memory and semantic memory. We will discuss these two types in detail, but episodic memory has more to do with the personal events, and semantic memory refers to general facts and knowledge which is there in the form of anything that is around you, which is general. Let's try to look at the processes in detail, starting from the sensory memory, going to short-term working memory, and then long-term memory. Now, first of all, we see the sensory memory. Sensory memory, and you can see that there you also notice that sensory memory requires attention. Now, sensory memory is the first stage of memory, and basically its purpose is to give our brain some time to process the incoming information. So, attention takes place here. Sensory memory is not consciously controlled. It is basically something that you subconsciously and continuously gather information from the environment through your five senses. Now, sensory memory holds impressions of that sensory information that was received by your five senses after original stimulus has stopped. However, it only holds that information for a very brief period, generally no longer than seconds, or maybe even in some situation, a second. In order for the information to be retained for longer, it has to continue on to short-term memory. We also need to understand that most of the information that gets into sensory memory is forgotten. It never makes its way into the second stage of memory because it was never attended to. You had not paid attention to. To get information into short-term memory, you must or you have to attend to it, meaning consciously pay attention to it. Example can be that sensory memory can be observed if you look at an object and then close your eyes. As your eyes close, you can notice how the visual image is maintained for a fraction of a second before fading. Second is the short-term working memory. Now, information in short-term memory is not stored permanently. Information passes from sensory memory into short-term memory, where again it is held for only a short period of time. Sometimes it is stored in the short-term memory and is kept only for approximately 20 to 45 seconds. Now, while many of your short-term memories are quickly forgotten, pay attention to the information and processing, for example, encoding, that allows it to continue into long-term memory. Now, just as sensory memory is necessary step for short-term memory is necessary step towards the long-term memory. Long-term memory refers to the storage of information over an extended, longer period, and it is all the memories you hold for periods longer than few seconds. Now, the information can last in your long-term memory for hours, days, months, and even years. The type of memories which are there under long-term are explicit, and implicit. By explicit memory, we mean that they are those experiences that can intentionally and consciously remembered. It is knowledge or experience that can be consciously remembered, such as facts, episodes, or any other events. Now, explicit memory can be further subdivided into episodic and semantic. By episodic, we mean first-hand experience in the form of events in your life. For example, you remember your birthday or 12th birthday or 16th birthday or your first graduation or any such personal event that you have. And semantic memory refers to knowledge of facts and concepts about the world. For example, you may remember the name of your president or the year your first president took oath. So, semantic facts are the facts that are there, generally available in the world. Then you have implicit type, which basically refers to knowledge that we cannot consciously access. For example, we may remember how to ride a bike or walk, but it is difficult to explain how we did it or how we do that. Then they have the procedural, which actually takes us to skills. Now, procedural memory is responsible for highly skilled activities that can be performed without much conscious effort. For example, driving a car or simply tying your shoelaces, etc. To conclude, the general strategies by which human mind encodes, stores, and retrieves information can be described independently of language. The concept of working and long-term memory provide a framework for understanding how language processes occur.